All right, thank you for coming. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the District Advisory Committee on Elementary School Property. And to begin with, we always pledge to the flag. Please. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So I'll ask the committee members to look at the agenda. Do the best we can here. We're just going to, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as written. Second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the agenda as written? Aye. Opposed? The agenda is approved. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from last week's meeting. Trust you've all had a chance to look at those. Any amendments, changes?
Yes, one, I need to just verify that Andy and David voted, probably voted on the school district grant writer motion. Because it was by a show of hands, so I could only, it was blocked. So, Andy, did you vote yes or no on the grant writer?
You had it correct with no.
Okay, and David?
What was the
Yes or no on the grant writer motion? Okay, so I got those right, so I'll just remove the question marks.
Okay, great.
From the minutes.
Perfect. Any other comments?
Very good job.
as usual?
Yes.
We have a motion to approve the minutes.
I motion to usually talk at this. I move to approve the minutes. I second.
Any discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes of the 3-3 meeting? Say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. I'd like to welcome everyone to this District Advisory Committee meeting. We've been meeting since October, learning about elementary school capacity, classroom conditions, teaching conditions, and other issues related to the elementary schools. In a moment, I'm going to open the public comment portion of our meetings, and before I do so, I'd like to explain to everyone the path that we're on. The recommendation that was made at last week's meeting was a very difficult decision based on loads of data and discussion. None of us take that recommendation lightly, I'll let you know at the beginning. In fact, the vote was 6-5, revealing the mixed feelings that this committee has about school closures. After public comments tonight, if time allows, this committee will continue to deliberate. Next week, on Thursday, March 17th, at this same space at this same time, we have the official public hearing, but tonight will operate very much like a public hearing as well. After that public hearing, we will again deliberate. It may be that night, it may be the following week. Depends on how long that public hearing takes. Moving us closer to a final recommendation to the school board. Please understand that any recommendation that we make to the school board is just that, it's a recommendation. The school board can make a decision in any direction that they wish. And I want you to know that whether you speak tonight or whether you speak next week or both nights, your comments carry equal weight. The fact that tonight is called a meeting and next week is called a public hearing doesn't mean anything in terms of that. And I think I speak for everyone that we appreciate your attendance and your participation in this process. Now, simply for purposes of organization, we've asked you to fill out a speaker sheet in the back. And so any of you who are in attendance that wish to speak and haven't yet filled one of these out, please do so, and I'm taking them in the order that they were given to me. I ask that when called, that you approach the mics, which are where? Oh, here. Okay, approach the mic, which is here, and just state your name for the record. That helps the other committee members know who you are. I'm the only one with your sheet. Also, the meeting's being recorded, so it's also good information for the public that cannot be here tonight to know who was speaking. In order that we get to everybody who was interested in speaking, I'm asking you to limit your comments to 3 minutes. And I would also, for the same reason, just to be able to get through the comments that we're so anxious to hear from you, this is going to be a bit of a one-way conversation. We're going to receive your comments. We're not going to do back and forth conversation at that time. And then after the public comments, as time allows, we're going to deliberate both about your comments. And I'm sure that everyone on the committee has come tonight with more thoughts about the process last week and the recommendation that was made last week. Okay, so with that, I'll open public comment. And Teresa Dutter, you're up first. Oh, I'm sorry. Teresa, go ahead and stay at the podium, but if you don't mind, I think what I want to do real quick is just go around and have the committee introduce themselves. And Marianne, I'll just start with you.
Hi, Marianne Radcliffe, and I have 2 children who have been through Ojai Elementary.
I'm Dimitri Corbin. I teach a theater program, Cardboard Fairy Tale Theater Workshop. Served on the Arts Commission. I've run for City Council. I've been in Ojai for about 15 years.
I'm Chris Nash. I'm a lifelong resident of Ojai Public Schools here, and I had 2 of my 3 children attend public school.
I'm Linda Jordan. I'm a proud Nordoff graduate, go Rangers. I have a daughter that graduated from Nordoff last year and a son who is currently out.
Melanie Marks. I have 4 children in the Ojai Unified School District. I have a 10-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 16-year-old, and an 18-year-old. And we've been here for 10 years, so they've started in K and gone all the way through.
Thank you. Glenn Fowle, and I have a daughter who went to Miners Oaks. Matilda Hahn is now in Rhode Island.
Steve Quillisi, my wife attended Ojai schools. I never lived here until after we were married. Retired from the aerospace business and also served on the Building Appeals Board for the City of Ojai.
I'm Murr Van Acker, teacher at Nordoff High School. My wife's a teacher in the district. My son currently attends Miners Oaks.
My name is Gabriela Vargas. I'm part of the community, live in Ojai for 25 years, and my 3 kids went through the Ojai Unified District from kindergarten all the way to high school.
I'm David White. I run environmental programs at all the Ojai Unified Schools. I have 2 boys go through Ojai Unified School.
My name is Andy Cantwell. I'm the assistant superintendent for the district, and I have 2 young children who will be starting the district in a couple of years.
Thank you. Teresa, thanks for your patience.
Hello, I'm Teresa Dutter. I'm the principal of San Antonio and Summit Schools. And I would like to thank the committee for doing such a great job with a very difficult task. It is not easy looking at all of the information and analyzing where we are as a district. So I appreciate your hard work on behalf of our school district. I'd like to touch on the vote regarding Summit School. It is clear that the 10-to-1 vote, that the committee understands what Summit School means to the Upper Ojai. I encourage you to visit the campus to see the teachers in action teaching kindergarten through 2nd grade in one class and grades 3 through 6 in the other class. It's truly remarkable. Regarding San Antonio, however, I was surprised by some of the comments voiced at the last meeting. As Andy has clarified, our district is not in a financial crisis. So it makes no sense to close a school that's robust and running well. I was concerned by the 6-4-1 abstain vote. That surprised me. The committee has been tasked to look at surplus space in the district, so it was shocking to see that members of the committee were targeting a school with robust enrollment, making very good use of space, and one that fills a vital need in the community. It also is in the best condition with regards to facilities.
Can't hear you. Sorry, I don't know how to make this work.
No, thanks.
You need to
Okay, there we go. Thank you, Mr. White, great teacher at Miners Oaks, thank you. So I was dismayed that when San Antonio was singled out on a chart and that the assumption was made that San Antonio does not have a strong community because there are so few neighborhood students. This is exactly the number crunching mentality that the committee promised not to do. Then I realized that several members of the committee probably don't understand what San Antonio is all about, and that is that it's a small school option for those families that need a small school. I often take parents on tours of the campus, and what becomes clear is that they need a small school option for their children. The Ojai Valley really needs a small school within the valley. It's much like the Ojai Valley itself. People come here to find the right fit for themselves and their families, so please don't lose sight of the significant need for a small school in the Ojai Valley. Finally, I do want to say that I hear what Merv has so passionately expressed, and that's the need for our teachers to have a salary increase. But I think looking at a small school and closing it, potentially just to rent it out to a charter school, doesn't fit. I think it's short-sighted, and I think there are other options, such as what Dr. White had recommended with our resilient schools. I do think there are other very viable options. And although this San Antonio was not recommended to be closed, it concerned me that so many members of the committee had voted in favor of closing it. And it made me realize that you don't truly understand the need for the small school in the valley, as well as that school is running really well, and it doesn't fit the task mandate that you had looked at with regards to the surplus space. We're using the space very well, et cetera. So with that in mind, I would like to thank you again for your hard work in this really difficult area, and to really keep in mind what's important to the Ojai Valley community as a whole, and what a small school means to them. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Glenn, do you want to check on how that sound is? Because it was difficult for me to hear.
Yeah. Can you hear well out there, like in the background? And also, even when she was holding the mic? David? Okay, great, thank you. Whitney Hartman, you're up next. After Whitney, Kara Hooper.
Let's try it on this side. Can we try it on this side?
Yeah, no, I do with it. That was super. Don't worry about the podium, just worry about
Yeah, speak right into the mic.
How's this? Can you guys hear me? Okay.
just close to the mic.
Okay. Hi. My name is Whitney Hartman, and I am the PTO president for San Antonio School. Thank you for letting me speak tonight. I know the committee has so far voted 6-4 to not close our school. Thank you for your votes. It is my hope that the recommendation stands, but more so, it is my hope that all the schools stay open. The first point that was brought up to close San Antonio School was San Antonio did not serve the community. We have about a third of our students live in the East End, and we still feel that we serve our community. That statement is not truly based in fact. In fact, I feel it's the opposite. The definition of community is a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. The community of San Antonio Elementary School is exactly that. The majority of our student body chose to go to the school. We have the feeling that this small school environment is the best for our children. This has nothing to do with the private school feel and everything to do with a small school dynamic. This is extremely important to the families in our community. We have the common attitude that a small school is important, the common interest in keeping our kids in a small school, and a common goal that we want our kids to thrive in this small school community. This, by definition, makes us a very close-knit community formed by families in the entire Ojai Valley. The small school option is important. It builds and strengthens our community. The next point that was brought up in favor of closing San Antonio was that we can save $1.4 million in Measure J money if our school was closed. This number, I believe, was from a report that was not fully investigated. This report was solely based on the square footage of each school. An assessment has not been made for the exact amount of money that each school will require from Measure J. But the FIT report that Josh presented is a fact-based document. This document gave San Antonio the highest rating of 91% in the entire district, that San Antonio needs the least amount of work. Therefore, I do not truly believe we will need $1.4 million from Measure J money. I feel this is true for all the schools. The amount of money needed for each school has yet to be determined, and it is, I feel, not the job of the 7-Eleven committee to come up with uses for Measure J money, especially in choosing to close our schools. As the PTO president of our school, I've heard several parents say that if they had known that Measure J money would be used as a tool to close down a school, they would have never voted yes on Measure J, much less stand outside our schools and going door to door fighting for it. If the committee is using Measure J funds as an excuse to close schools, I feel there could be a huge backlash in our entire school district. San Antonio School has been around for over 100 years. It has a rich history and still meets the needs of our community today, just as it did when it was founded. It is my strong opinion that all the parents feel this way about each of their schools. All factors, ideas, and plans need to be considered, and all the options to save our schools be implemented. Closing any school should be the very last resort. I do not feel that this has been done, but let's try. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Go ahead, Kara. And Robyn Munson, you're next.
Hello, members of the 7-Eleven committee. My name is Kara Hooper, and I'm a parent of a student at San Antonio Elementary School, as well as a resident of the East End.
Right up to the mic.
Snuggle in.
Right in front.
Next year, my other child will enroll at San Antonio as well. I also serve as the co-secretary this year on the San Antonio PTO. Thank you for the immense time, thought, and effort that you have spent over the last months considering the facilities use of our schools. I want to express my gratitude for the hours that you have given to our community. I also want to thank you for voting to keep San Antonio open. We are a small, thriving school that is full with a healthy growth rate, and I appreciate that you recognize this. As you likely know, our school has a deep, rich history and has been operating for 129 years continuously. Additionally, our valley is long and has a lot of geographic miles to cover. San Antonio's location helps ensure that we have choices and options for every resident of the valley within close proximity of their home. That said, a unique benefit of our school district is the opportunity to choose elementary schools. This ensures that all families can find the right fit for their children and family needs. It is one of the particular strengths of OHI, and a theme that infuses all of our children's experiences at school and in extracurricular activities every day in this valley, whether it's at a Little League field, a Boy Scout meeting, a Girl Scout meeting. We have kids coming together from every corner of this valley, and they're not told that they have to stay in one particular area to play baseball or go to Boy Scouts. We all come together, and that's what makes our community. In fact, interacting with a mix of students from various geographical locations is happening at many schools. Besides our 104 students at San Antonio who utilize intra-district transfers, 140 students use this at Topa Topa, and 113 students at Miramonte do as well. Widespread use of transfers unifies our community and enriches all campuses. I would like to address a point brought up in the 7-Eleven committee meeting last week regarding utilizing the San Antonio campus to lease to potential tenants, including Valley Oak Charter School. To close down our school in order to pursue the uncertain path of potentially leasing it to an outside organization would be a risky gamble. San Antonio is a neighborhood institution that has served generations of students in Ojai. Closing it would displace children and eliminate a cornerstone of the East End. The school's existence predates the post office tower and Woodby Park. That's how long it's been there. In our agricultural and residential end of the valley, the school serves a unique and irreplaceable role as a community center. It is, for example, our polling station. On a final note, I've read several pieces that suggest that Measure J is the impetus for closing schools. As someone who canvassed neighborhoods in support of Measure J, I feel duped that its success now serves as a rationale for closing any school. When we as a community voted on the measure and campaigned for its passage, we were operating under the impression that the funds would go towards every school in the valley. I hope that as you continue to deliberate, you will consider the possibility of keeping all 5 of our elementary schools open. Thank you very much.
Jen Miller, you're up next. Jen Miller.
Hi, my name is Robyn Munson. Thank you for your time tonight. I'm here to speak as a parent of San Antonio students, but also as a teacher in the Ojai Unified School District. This is my 15th year teaching in OUSD. I've taught at 3 of the 5 elementary schools, as well as at Matilaha. I've closely followed the minutes of the 7-Eleven committee, as well as having read through all the provided documents on the website. I understand that you are tasked with making a very difficult recommendation, and that each and every campus in this valley has its own unique attributes that are valued and treasured by the families who attend. I also recognize that this is very difficult for all of us, the parents, the staff, the children, even the committee, to look at this without our preconceived ideas or notions about our own campuses and our own schools. This really is a no-win situation. My husband and I currently have 2 children who are attending San Antonio, 1 in 3rd grade and 1 in 5th. We also have a 7th grader who attended San Antonio from kindergarten to 6th grade. I have to say that weekly, my 7th grader comes home and reminisces about his time on our campus, and he holds it near and dear to his heart. We made a conscious decision when selecting from all of the great schools in the Ojai Valley, and we chose San Antonio. I see it very much like the decision that many of us have made to live in this small community. It was not out of convenience, but rather a conscious choice and decision made to meet the needs of our individual families. We chose to move to Ojai because it was a small, family-based environment that provided excellent schools and is safe and nurturing for our children. I accepted a job in Ojai knowing that the salaries are less than other districts, and that was a compromise that I wanted to make to live and work in the town that I'm raising my family in. The environment at San Antonio is a unique community in and of itself. It is not a neighborhood school for the majority of the children attending, as the other Ojai schools are, but it is a very strong familial community. It is not a community based simply on geographic location, but it is a community based on similar educational needs and values of the families who choose to attend. I ask the committee to consider why so many families choose to attend San Antonio from outside of our boundaries. It's not simply 41 children within the San Antonio boundaries who will be affected by these decisions. The numbers of interdistrict transfers to our schools speak for themselves, but there is a need for a small campus. I can assure you that I speak for the families of our school that our community is as strong and as valued as every other campus. As we know in education, there cannot be a one-size-fits-all approach to meeting the needs of our students. It's my job each and every day to meet the academic, social, and emotional needs of the children in my class. By eliminating the only small school option within the Valley, we are creating a one-size-fits-all school environment for all children. It's clear that some students and families thrive on a large campus, while others thrive in a smaller, more intimate environment. I encourage you to come see our campus, see what it's all about, feel the climate of our school. It is a community meeting the needs of families and children throughout our valley who desire a small, academically thriving environment. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have you just pause for a moment? I have a request to not applaud after each speaker. Please. Now, you're Jen Miller?
Yes.
Okay, and next up is Cristina Frank.
Okay, my name is Jen Miller. Thank you, committee, for all of your hard work. I know it's a really thankless job sometimes, and I don't envy you that. And thank you for your current recommendation to not close San Antonio. I'm going to put on these crazy glasses. Sorry, my puppy ate the rest of them. Okay. My name is Jen Miller. My husband, Hernando Sierra, and I live in Miners Oaks, but chose San Antonio for our son, Rafael. After starting his school career with 6 years at the private school Monica Ross, we looked very closely at every school in the district, both private and public. Ultimately, we felt the strong community at San Antonio was the perfect fit for our son. It is a thriving family of like-minded people and a vibrant and necessary place for learning. That we were able to do this via intradistrict transfer is one of the greatest gifts our community bestows, no matter which school a family winds up choosing. Emotions are running high in this room tonight. This should tell you more than just a little about how passionately we all feel about not only our individual schools, but our schools as a whole. Ojai is a unique community, and part of what makes life here so special is our ability to choose from a variety of good schools. I was a proud supporter and voter for Measure J. It seems to me that rather than use the passing of such an incredibly positive measure that will safeguard and better our schools, those funds are now being used as a weapon, the proverbial sword of Damocles over our heads. The tagline of the campaign for Measure J was, "Save our schools." It was not, "Save our schools," but really, we will, in the interest of best use, put some of them up on the chopping block and save only a few. This constitutes what I feel is voter fraud, and is at best imprudent, and at worst, possibly illegal. I highly doubt that the great majority of Measure J supporters would have voted for such a thing had they known how disastrously it might be implemented. I know I wouldn't have. My purpose here tonight is not to attack another school or any school. If it were up to me, I would keep all Ojai schools open. But I am here in ardent support of San Antonio School, an integral Ojai institution for well over a century that is vital to our community. Our school operates at capacity and in fact has a waiting list each year. San Antonio serves not only Ojai, but Miners Oaks, Miramonte, Oakview, and beyond. Our school is the educational community that we San Antonio families actively chose regardless of our geographical location in the valley. And the family and community one creates by free will is no less than a community built by mere geographical boundary. And we are a powerful force that cannot be ignored nor should be dispensed with. Thank you.
Thank you. Martin Hartman, you'll be next.
Hello,
Sorry.
Hello. My name is Cristina Frank Bellew. I live at Avenida de la Vereda, on Avenida de la Vereda, which is in San Antonio School District. I'd like to thank the 7-Eleven Committee for all your hard work and also this opportunity to share my views. My family specifically moved to Ojai from Santa Monica in 2009 for the small community, welcoming neighbors, and most importantly, a good and vibrant school. Our son is in 3rd grade at San Antonio and had previously attended private school from pre-K through 2nd. We made a conscious decision to choose a public school for him that would have a small environment, be well-run, warm, and most importantly, in the words of my son, feels like home. We toured several of the other public grade schools here in the Valley, and none could compare to San Antonio. They were all too big, too institutional, and not a good fit for our family. I am fortunate to have other options. He could go back to private school. I can enroll him in school in Santa Barbara School District because I'm in the theater department at a college, or we could drive him to Ventura. If we do not have San Antonio, then we would be forced to make this decision to take him out of the school district and also probably out of Ojai. But we really do not want to make any of those decisions because our son is thriving at San Antonio's community. It is our neighborhood school where I hope one day that he will ride his bicycle to. It is our friends, our devoted PTO, our outstanding principal and teachers, and the magical environment of the surrounding mountains. All of this and so much more is this special place that is our son's second home. Please do not take him away from this special school. I want to thank you for your time and consideration, and I would also like to iterate that all the schools should be left open. Ojai needs its families, and its families need school choice. Thank you.
Martin, you're up next, and then Amy Roush. Pardon me if I mispronounce your last name. Amy, you'll be next after that.
Good evening, committee members. My name is Martin Hartman. I'm a parent of 2 children at San Antonio, citizen of Ojai, and a grateful resident of our beautiful Valley of the Moon. My professional background is in architecture, but I am here tonight as a parent expressing my personal opinion. Over the past 15 years, I have developed a history with and an affinity for Ojai's built environment. It was an honor to serve the citizens of Ojai as the project manager for the architect on the Libby Bowl reconstruction project. I continue to be extremely proud of what we accomplished as a community. Through the lens of the Libby Bowl project, I witnessed firsthand the spirit and power of our small community to rally around a common cause and to work together in the conception and creation of the best possible outcome. I am hopeful that our community and this committee can again come together, rally around the district in this instance, and help the school board make well-informed decisions that will best serve our valley, and more importantly, make well-informed decisions that will best serve our children. This committee was convened to determine the amount of surplus space and real property. At a recent 7-Eleven committee meeting, Assistant Superintendent Cantwell provided a handout entitled Process for Arriving at a Decision. The ultimate task of an advisory committee such as this is, the ultimate task is to forward to the district's governing board a report recommending uses of surplus space and real property. I've attended the majority of public committee and school board meetings for over a year now. My understanding is all of the members of this particular committee agree with the basic assessment that there is indeed surplus space and real property within the district. I too agree that there is surplus space that can be reallocated to serve a higher and better purpose. I wholeheartedly support reallocating portions of surplus space and unmaintained district property landscape areas to the Food for Thought program and its sister environmental education programs. Furthermore, I support a thorough exploration of the resilient schools concept presented by Dr. White. Food for Thought has made tangible contributions to our schools and our children's well-being. At San Antonio School, for instance, the edible gardens are thriving and expanding. We had no edible gardens several years ago. The kids are learning by interacting with nature. The Learnscapes are providing an ideal environment for students to tie knowledge and experience together, a primary consideration in the Common Core curriculum. Biology, chemistry, nutrition, and other subjects are being taught firsthand in the field, not simply studying them in a book. The answers to questions like, what role do acids play in soil, are being answered by the students themselves through participation in these programs. We are moving past rote learning. Directly interacting with Ojai's natural environment and agricultural landscape is producing students who are learners, not memorizers of facts and test takers. Imagine the future impact our investment in these programs will have as we all struggle as a society with pressing environmental issues and diminishing resources. Please make the allocation of surplus space to the Food for Thought program the top item on your list of recommendations to the school board. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy, you're up. Susie Taylor, you'll be next.
Hi, good evening. First off, I want to thank you all. Oh, I'm sorry. I usually don't have a problem talking loud. First of all, I'd like to thank you guys for taking the time to hear all of the speakers tonight. My name is Amy Roach, and I have 2 sons who attend Miners Oaks School. In 2011, my husband and I moved our family from Oxnard to Ojai specifically for the special education program at Miners Oaks. The teachers here have gone above and beyond to work with our youngest son who has autism. He started school knowing about 30 words and can now memorize and perform a play in front of a large audience. Sorry. He excels at reading and art. We have the entire special education team and staff at Miners Oaks to thank for their dedication and hard work to my son and to every student. The teachers there aren't there for the money. They're there because they love and care about each individual child. Miners Oaks is a family. Closing this school would be detrimental not only to my own family, but to the families of nearly 300 other students this school serves. And I know the impassioned plea of one mother isn't going to sway your recommendation to the board, so I will close with just a few facts. Miners Oaks serves the greatest population of Hispanics in the Valley. 49% of our students walk or ride a bike to school. And Miners Oaks also provides the largest number of school lunches in the district. So once again, I want to thank you for your time listening to our plea.
Thank
Susie, you're next. Laurie Hammer, you're next after Susie.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Susie Taylor. I reside at 829 Camille Court, which is within the designated boundaries of the Miners Oaks Elementary School District. First of all, thank you all for serving on this committee and for your commitments to this valley as a whole. I would like to take this opportunity to remind the committee members of the charge that you have been tasked with. The charge of identifying if any surplus properties exist within the district boundaries, and to how best address them. This decision to close a school or not should be based on the facts presented, and most importantly, with impartialness. The financial numbers and the estimated growth projections presented do not support the approved motion. It appears to me the motion itself was somewhat flawed and confusing from the beginning. One very powerful fact that seems to have been glossed over is the issue of boundaries and designated schools. This district is very proud of its policy to support the school of choice. However, this policy has precipitated an ethnic imbalance in our district. I'd like to direct your attention to a document that was provided to you this evening based on district data, which shows the impact of enforcing this district policy. It's entitled School of Residence on the top left, and on the bottom it is entitled School of Choice Forecast. Please consider that a closure of any of our schools, this choice, would be limited within our district, which will result in some unintended consequences. Consequences such as being forced back to your home school boundaries. I am not convinced that a closure has been clearly thought through, and the motion at best seemed rushed. Without any closures, if you were to redesignate students back to their home schools per the existing district boundaries, Miners Oaks Elementary would be a powerhouse school hosting over 400 students based on those boundaries. By definition alone, the projected growth of that in coming years is substantial. The fact alone speaks to the level of dense population that our boundaries host. At a minimum, this committee should consider the district's legal responsibility based on the education code to maintain appropriate racial and ethnic balances amongst the respective schools. The demographics that I presented to you this evening seem to provide and indicate that the current administration may be reckless in their responsibility in protecting this district policy with school of choice. So I ask, please, slow down, think through your choices, and remember your charge as a committee. You are charged with making a vote in fairness, based on facts that are presented, and most importantly, to eliminate your personal and emotional interests. Thank you.
After Laurie is Nina Ahumada.
I am Laurie Hammer, a district parent for 13 years. I live in Miners Oaks, and my daughters are now a freshman and senior at Nordhoff. I am the Executive Director of Food for Thought Ojai, a local nonprofit and a strong community partner as presented by David. We are not looking to take over any school campus. And like David, I have worked with all the district schools. I am deeply impressed with the talent and dedication of all of our teachers, all of our principals, all of our classified staff serving our students. I believe your current recommendation is a change that will weigh heaviest on families with the least amount of resources. Your vote also places additional stresses on 2 other campuses while leaving East Side schools in a business-as-usual situation. I strongly agree with the previous speakers regarding Measure J, and I want to remind us that 8 years ago, there was talk of closing a school. This boardroom was filled with concerned parents. I stood here at this podium and said, one of the district's greatest assets is the presence of neighborhood schools. They are more than just brick and mortar. They are anchors in the community. I stand by that statement today, and I add that these schools are the hearts of our neighborhoods, plural. That year, we lost classroom teachers and classified staff. The squeeze was felt across the district. I remind you that Ojai Unified is not facing that same crisis financial situation this year and looking ahead. In closing, consider the message your proposal sends. In 1978, I was almost 10 years old. My father was a teacher, head of his teacher union. Proposition 13 passed in June, and within days, I felt the impact. My father was out of work and in line for unemployment. Summer school was canceled. My favorite public librarian was fired. I remember feeling confused and disappointed by the adults in this state. Their message to me, public education and children were not valued. What will the students of Miners Oaks take away from this recommendation? I respectfully ask the 7-Eleven committee to consider a plan that leaves all elementary schools open. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nina, and Annika, you're next. You'll be next, yeah.
My name is Nina Almada, and I am in 6th grade at Miners Oaks School. I know your committee looked at a lot of facts in order to decide how to best use the district's resources. But there may be some facts you did not consider that I would like to share with you. First, did you know that Miners Oaks Elementary has won a National Green Ribbon School Award for several years in a row? If you visit their website, you can see we are their featured school for all the ways we make our environment better. Also, my friends in leadership and I took a poll this week to see how many kids live close enough to walk or bike to school, and these are the results. 49%. Almost half of our students live close enough, so they don't have to drive to school every day. If you close Miners Oaks, you will be increasing our carbon footprint on the earth, creating more traffic and making it impossible for a lot of kids to walk or bike to school. Thank you.
Okay, up next after Annika is Christine Ellison.
That's a tough act to follow.
My name is Annika Forrester. I've been a Miners Oaks parent for 9 years. First of all, I want to thank the committee members for your diligent work. I know this is a thankless task, and I'm sure your job, this job you volunteered for, is just about to get a lot harder. I want to frame my comments around the concepts of needs versus preferences, and around the concept of hardship versus loss of preference or inconvenience. I am aware that you have reviewed a lot of information in your consideration of how to best utilize the school district's resources. I am concerned that the conclusion you have come to so far was not truly based on all the facts or not the most meaningful facts. One essential piece of the picture you did not see was the demographic data specifically associated with the intra-district transfer students. Given that your objective is to look for surplus space, your decisions have been solely based on current and future projected attendance in absolute numbers only. Seats in chairs, chairs in classrooms, classrooms in school facilities. However, these numbers are skewed to reflect the current conditions, which are the result of the district's legacy school of choice policy, which you've already heard many people refer to. These numbers do not reflect the actual school of residence, which is based on where people in fact live in the Ojai Valley. Based on data I requested from Mr. Cantwell, I prepared the following charts that I have shared with you. Anybody in the audience can come up to the front and get a copy. The fact is, the Ojai Unified School District's natural ethnic balance falls at approximately 62% Caucasian, 33% Hispanic, and 5% other. That is the entire district, and that's what it looks like. And in the chart, you'll see that at the top of your chart, the pie chart. Curiously, if everyone attended their respective schools of residence, the ones that they live in, every single elementary school in Ojai would have virtually the same balanced ethnic distribution. Every single school from Summit to San Antonio to Miners Oaks to Topa Topa to Miramonte would look just like that pie chart, 60-something to 30-something, plus or minus a few points. However, as you are well familiar, some schools of choice are currently not anywhere near the district's natural ethnic distribution. For example, Miners Oaks, the school chosen by you for closure, Miners Oaks today, as a result of the school for choice policy, has 47% Caucasian and 49% Hispanic students. This is 50% more Hispanics at Miners Oaks, and not surprisingly, 23% fewer than the district average of Caucasians. In short, Miners Oaks is where the greatest ethnic disproportion exists, the school that you have chosen to close. I don't have the time to go into more detail here, but I will invite you to study the charts, and please note the inverse situation at Topa Topa in San Antonio, for example, where there are disproportionately fewer Hispanics and more Caucasians, well out of range of the district averages. I have not had a chance to prepare charts reflecting the disproportionate way the district's school of choice policy has adversely affected the distribution of low-income students, but the pictures are similar. The bottom line is, you have made your decisions based on a policy that has effectively enabled institutional reverse redlining. And to decide to close Miners Oaks School without considering the social justice consequences would be, in my opinion, short-sighted. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
After Christine, Odessa Runyon.
Hi, my name is Christine Ellison. I'm nervous, which if I wasn't nervous, it wouldn't mean I didn't care. So, I don't publicly speak often, so hear me out. I didn't come with any hard facts. I didn't write anything. As I drove over here, I really quickly wrote down what was in my mind as a parent. And I'm hearing the word community a lot. And take it back. They say it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a community to save a school. It takes a community to save all our schools. And I'm sorry. I did write some notes. I feel like our community, our valley, the Ojai Valley, together, if we come together, we could do this and we could save our schools. And I hope you can help us save all of them. I've been very privileged to volunteer and teach art in a great program we have for our school. And I've got to know so many of these children, sorry, and the teachers. Okay, I'm serious now. I've come to know these children and the teachers and our principal, the staff, everyone, and they're my family, and I feel like we're all a family, we're a community, and I don't want to tear our family apart. I would hate to see us all separated in different schools. I really want, my son's in 6th grade, he's going to graduate there, and my other son's in 4th grade. I look forward to having him share the same teachers that my older son had, and I'm looking forward to see him graduate there in the next few years. Thank you.
Thank you. After Odessa is Viviana Solis.
Hello, my name is Odessa Runyon, and I am a senior at Nordhoff High School. I am a current resident of Miners Oaks, as well as an alumni of the elementary school there. This year, as a senior, I have decided to return to my former elementary school, Miners Oaks, every day in place of the coveted free period to help my former teacher, Mrs. Duncan, and her class of 4th graders. In my 6 months in this class so far, saying my perspective on life has completely changed would be an understatement. However, today, I'm here to make a case for my community, and I will refrain from sharing the immense amount of information and insight that I've gained from these children. In 4th grade, students are beginning to find their sense of individuality. They now have recess with the older kids, and they have larger projects such as that of the notorious California missions. They're finally beginning to come out of their shells. As a resident of Miners Oaks, I'm not naive to the reality that faces many families today, mostly encompassed by lack of resources. I urge you to realize that closing this school will put an unnecessary burden on families that are already stretched thin. If I went into my class tomorrow morning at 10:30, I would see 30 smiling faces looking at me and say, Odessa, as I walk through the doors, as they do every day. I would also see 30 kids who rely on this school more than many of you will ever know. Do not destroy the rock that stabilizes so many of these children during some of the most influential times of their lives. Do not destroy the heart of their community. Thank you.
Genevieve Gould, you'll be up next.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Viviana Solís. No hablo inglés, pero quiero expresar que estoy muy contenta de pertenecer a Miners.
My name is Viviana Solis. I don't speak English, but I am very happy to let you know that I am really happy to be at Miners Oaks School and be part of the community.
Para mí es muy importante sentirme cómoda en una escuela donde los maestros te ayudan y ayudan a nuestros hijos que tienen problemas para aprender inglés. Esa es mi mayor necesidad y en Miners Oaks me siento cómoda con mis hijos. Ellos no hablan inglés y con sus amigos. Oh, ya estoy nerviosa.
Do you want me to translate that?
Yes.
I got some of it. Yeah. But basically, she feels very, very comfortable at Miners Oaks, and she's very grateful for the teachers that help her. Her biggest obstacle is with learning to speak English. And she's very grateful for that.
Muchas personas que conozco que somos latinos, que hablamos español, nos sentimos cómodos en esta escuela.
A lot of the people I know who are Latino, Hispanic, we also feel very comfortable at our school.
Siento que afectaría mucho a los niños en su estado emocional el tener que cerrar la escuela porque ellos se sienten familiarizados en esta escuela.
I think it would negatively affect our children very deeply at an emotional level. They would be emotionally harmed by having to leave the school where they're so comfortable.
Mis hijos conviven mucho con niños que hablan inglés y creo que es importante que se sienten cobijados los niños que no hablan español, que no hablan inglés, con los niños que hablan inglés. Para mí, yo tengo un año viviendo en Ojai y yo me siento muy feliz y me siento muy cómoda por la escuela. Ese era mi mayor problema, que mis hijos no entendieran el idioma y que no hubiera nadie que ayudara a ellos a hablarlo. Y en Miners he encontrado esa ayuda con los maestros y con mis compañeras, con las madres y con los vecinos, con todas las personas de Miners.
She said that my kids are very comfortable at Miners Oaks. They have lots of English-speaking friends. And my biggest worry is that if they had to go someplace else, they wouldn't be so comfortable, and it would impact their learning and their level of comfort.
Muchísimas gracias, estoy muy nerviosa, pero espero que de verdad los niños no se vean afectados en su aprendizaje y en sus emociones.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited, and I just really hope that we don't upset our children, both emotionally and in their learning, by this change.
After Genevieve is Cameron Kundi.
My name is Genevieve Gould, and I'm the mother. Can you hear? Closer. My name is Genevieve Gould, and I'm the mother of 2 Miners Oaks alums and currently have a 5th grader at Miners Oaks School. This school is family to us, and we love it and all of its teachers with all of our hearts. I hadn't even heard of the possible closing until last week. With no information, I took to social media and was devastated to find the following report. On February 18, 2016, it was estimated that a particular parcel on Miners Oaks with an APN number of 017-0330-055, consisting of 1 legal lot, totaling 7.36 acres, had a market value of $1.5 to $1.7 million. My heart hit the floor because, as you probably guessed, that parcel is none other than what we know to be Miners Oaks Elementary School. I am trusting that as a community we have not lost our hearts. All of our valued schools are filled with all of our children. Our schools are the center and the core of our community. I have to believe that in a town such as ours, we can see the true value of our schools as much, much more valuable than the real estate of the land that they lay upon. The Ojai Valley is a rare gem, and Miners Oaks is the hottest place in the real estate market. This is for families. Miners Oaks is the up-and-coming place to live and to buy property in. Our shops are being renovated, our fixer-uppers are being fixed up, and our nightlife is coming alive. And now we even have a sidewalk. And that sidewalk goes directly to Miners Oaks School. Property values are rising and rising because in a world that keeps going faster and faster, we have remained true to ourselves. As a valley and a community, we have successfully kept out chain stores. We support our local businesses. We don't overdevelop, but protect our land, and we put our families and we put our children first. We look out our windows and we live in paradise, and it's a paradise that half the world wants to live in. If the average home price in Miners Oaks is roughly $500,000 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath home, and you want to think that for one moment tearing out the neighborhood school won't affect the neighborhood or our property values, you're wrong. We're a wealthy community, and many of us are just struggling to be in it, but we're doing it because we love what we're seeing here. We're doing it for the security and the beauty that it provides for our families. To shut down any one of our schools, let alone Miners Oaks School, is to succumb to defeat. It's a huge statement of economic decline, which will have negative effects on the community and our real estate market. If we're looking to be a family-centered village, how can we expect to appeal to the community if we have no school, let alone no park? It leaves us wondering, where will our children play? If we want to be an elitist remote retirement community, that's fine. But that's not who we are. We're young, we're old, we're alive. We adore and we protect our families, and our children come first. If there aren't enough children in the valley, we need to address that issue. If our amazing, wonderful teachers are really the lowest paid in the county, we need to address that issue. But not by closing our schools, not by hardening our own hearts, and not by the sacrificing of the own values that we have worked so hard and so long to fight and protect. Not here. In this valley, we protect our families, we put our children first, and we keep all of our schools open. Thank you.
After Cameron, Jim Churchill. You're next.
Hello everyone, my name is Cameron Cundy. I'm currently a senior at Nordoff High School, and I'm no parent, I'm no teacher, and I have no lengthy logistical speech tonight. What I do have is experiences, relationships, and bonds that will last a lifetime. I went to Miners Oaks Elementary School. My brother, Jacob Cundy, who is 2 years older than me, went to Miners Oaks Elementary School, and Miners Oaks gave us opportunities that we couldn't have gotten anywhere else. I'm proud to say that because of the foundations and the base that I received from Miners Oaks, I will be continuing my education and continuing my track career at an NCAA Division I university next year, a dream that I've had forever. I'm proud to say that my brother, Jacob Cundy, who is 2 years older than me, just signed a contract to the Navy SEAL program and will be serving his country, the United States. I'm super proud to call him my brother, and I'm super proud to be moving on in this life with him. And I have 2 younger sisters currently going to Miners Oaks Elementary School. My brother and I both received unbelievable opportunities from there, and I can only wish they received the same opportunities we had. Closing the door of Miners Oaks is closing the door on opportunities. Thank you very much.
After Jim Churchill, Gina, you're up.
Hi, my name is Jim Churchill. I live 310 McKee Street in Ojai. Thank you for the opportunity to address you once again. Last meeting I appeared before you. I'm with Food for Thought. As you know, I spoke about Food for Thought's interest in supporting or manifesting the Resilient Schools program, and that is the truth. It wasn't a formal position because it hadn't occurred to us to take one. And I also mentioned that Food for Thought would be happy to be housed at Miners Oaks Elementary if that's the direction your deliberations pointed. I need to walk that back. We are in favor of resilient schools, but for us, resilient schools imply that there's a school. That's the main thing, you know. And so, Yeah, well, I mean, if there were a place for us to rent, that we would be happy to have our rent going to the school district. But we don't, I mean, again, Food for Thought hasn't taken a position on this, but I'm walking back anything I said that might have been used to support any school in this district. And with respect specifically to closing the Miners Oaks Elementary, I just think it's, I think you maybe haven't fully considered the economics of what you're talking about. You're imposing the greatest burden on that portion of the community least able to support it, and I just don't think you should do that. So, I would like to mention that Laurie and I were the civilians that were asked to sign on to Measure J. We were the supporters, the non-district, the non-employee supporters of Measure J. And I support what all of those folks from San Antonio said about using Measure J as a hammer to close the school. That wasn't what I signed up for. And the other thing I'd like to say is I actually went to San Antonio long ago. Ernie Ford and Alita Friend and a bunch of people. I love San Antonio. I think that's irrelevant, but it's just a little bit. Thank you.
Hi, Gina. And after Gina, it's Jesse Flores.
Good evening. My name is Gina Braggett. I am the president-elect of the Miners Oaks Elementary School PTA. I recognize almost all of the children in the audience from teaching art in numerous classes on campus. And some of you may recognize my name as an original member on the 7-Eleven committee. I regretfully withdrew due to the time commitment required and the strain that was placed on my family. So thank you all for serving and doing your due diligence to this community. I would just like to speak on regards to the impact of displacing 300 families which currently attend Miners Oaks Elementary School. And I just want to ask that you reconsider how it was you arrived at your decision. Your decision to recommend a closure of any school within our district should be based on facts and not emotions, which I believe was not the case in regards to the motion that was marginally passed last week. When casting your final vote for recommendation to our school board, please consider what is best for our students, our community, and the district as a whole. And consider the fact that Miners Oaks Elementary School is a neighborhood school for the most densely populated area in our valley. And that's all I've got. Mountain Mine Pride.
After Jesse speaks, Charles Delgado, you're up next.
Mi nombre es Jessie Flores, madre de 3 niños que fueron a Miners Oaks School.
I'm Jessie Flores, and mother of 3 children at Miners Oaks School, or who have been to Miners Oaks School.
He conocido muchos maestros, toda su dedicación. Mi pregunta es, ¿qué va a pasar con los maestros? ¿Qué va a pasar con los estudiantes? ¿Cuántos estudiantes van a estar en cada clase? Ahorita está de un porcentaje de 20 a 25 niños en cada clase. ¿Cuántos niños más van a poner en cada clase?
I've known all the teachers in the school and lots of students, and my question is, how many, ¿cómo fue la pregunta? What's going to happen to the teachers? What's going to happen to the students? How many students are you going to put into classes? Right now, they're already from 20 to 25 in the lower grades.
Mi otra pregunta, ¿qué es lo que sienten en separar una familia? Miners Oaks es una familia, no es una escuela, es una familia.
My my question is, how do you feel breaking up a family? Because Miners Oaks is not a school, Miners Oaks is a family.
Mi experiencia. Ok, Miners Oaks ofrece que los niños puedan estar en música. Mi hija ha estado en música y hasta ahorita va a Nora y sigue en música. Miners Oaks promueve el caminar a casa. Mis hijos cada miércoles caminaban de mi casa hacia la escuela. Miners Oaks en Yucatán pueden ver que no solamente es un fundraiser, sino también están allí muchos padres ayudando. Puede ver la unidad.
Miners Oaks has a music program. My daughter has benefited greatly from the music program, and now she's no longer at Miners Oaks, and she's still doing music thanks to Miners Oaks music program. The Miners Oaks is the only school, or is a school that actively promotes walking to school, and my son walks to school regularly at Miners Oaks. And finally, the Jogathon. You can see if you come to our Jogathon that there are many, many, many parents involved.
Cuando yo estaba en tercer grado, fui obligada a cambiar de escuela. Eso me afectó mentalmente, recibí burlas y yo no quiero que mi hijo, que ahora está en tercer grado, pase por esa experiencia, porque solamente las personas que lo pasan pueden saber lo que se siente cambiar de una escuela a la siguiente.
When I was in third grade, I was forced to change schools. And I suffered emotionally, mentally, because at the new school I was bullied and people teased me. I do not want my son to have that kind of experience, and the only people who know what this is like are people who have lived through it.
Gracias.
Hello, my name is Charles Delgado, and all I'm going to ask of the board right now is to perhaps do some visual imagery with me and go back to when you were a child and you were small and you were going to school, and say you had to walk to school or ride a bicycle like was mentioned, or maybe you got dropped off by a parent, but you were dropped off in the front of Miners Oaks School. And we're talking about the location. We're talking about the big giant trees there. We're talking about the meadow. We're talking about an area that's conducive to learning, where it's already proven successful. It's been borne out by the gentleman that came up and expressed about his life and his brother. I have 3 kids, 2 of them are in college. My youngest daughter's in Nordhoff now, doing very well, straight A student. But go back to being that child and go out going to school, and maybe your teacher that day is Mrs. Mendoza, or you have a time to spend with Mrs. Loomis, or Mrs. Platt, or Mr. White. Life is good. You cannot disrupt something that's working so well. You just can't do it. I'm to the mind that maybe we could keep all these schools open. You have to give that your best effort. That school is embedded in a safe part of a community. There's not a highway going by that school. There's a meadow next to it. Conducive to imagination. You're that young child, you're out there in that playground, and all you hear is the cheering of your friends and laughter, maybe a neighbor dog barking. That's it. That's the only noises you're going to hear. You'll see a bird go by, turkey, vulture, whatever. Please give it some thought. Think about being that child in that school and thriving.
Jessica Thompson, you're up next. And after her, Shauna Angelini.
Jessica Thompson?
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Jessica Thompson, and I live in Miners Oaks. There we go. Anyway, my son goes to Miners Oaks School, and I just want to, first of all, thank everybody up here on the panel for doing this very difficult job. And I, like Christine, I did not write anything up. I wanted to hear what everybody had to say here, and I really appreciate all the hard work that the parents have done doing investigation and wanting to make sure that the panel has all the information. I was well educated in here by everything that you've all brought up, and I thank you very much. I am a landscaper here in town, and my job is to try to make sure that, at least I feel like it's my job, but to help us bring back our native landscapes to Ojai so we could still continue having a beautiful place to live in and not a desert. Dave White has done an amazing job, and the whole Food for Thought gang has done an amazing job bringing food back into our schools and helping us educate everybody and knowing about diet and all of that. And I'm getting a little off what I want to say, but I believe that we're missing the point here. There's no why are we even thinking about closing a school? I hear about all the San Antonio parents saying it's a wonderful place, the school classroom sizes are small, and everybody else in the valley wants to have smaller classroom sizes. If all of us could have that, that would be a really wonderful thing. We all understand that teaching is better accepted, better absorbed when our classroom sizes are smaller. And dividing a school and putting a burden on another school is just making it worse for our kids. This is our opportunity to be able to turn it around. And I'm asking you as a group today to join us over here and maybe go up against the school district and say, look, this is an opportunity for us to actually do something good as a community. Let us be the example for the rest of Southern California on how we're going to handle, how we're going to be educating our children. We are a community. We all love Ojai, every part of Ojai. So I'm challenging you, and I'm hoping you will join us, that you don't choose to close a school. That you say, we're sorry, we're not choosing to close a school. What we're going to do is we're going to look at all the facts and come up with a better decision to help the community as a whole to provide better services for the community so we do become a smarter, better, more efficient community. Thank you.
Shauna, before you start, just before you start, a couple things. Up next after Shauna is Tanya DeClerc. And if anyone is here who hasn't had the opportunity to speak, it's not too late to fill out a sheet and have it sent up. Please feel free. Yeah, thank you.
Hello, my name is Shauna Angelini. My son is a fourth grader at Miners Oaks Elementary. I work at Miners Oaks Elementary. I don't have any notes. This is heartfelt. I just promised my son that I would say safe Miners Oaks School, please.
Kelly Pasco, you're after Tanya.
Hello, my name is Tanya DeClerc, and I am a parent of 3 Ojai Unified children, 2 who currently attend Miners Oaks Elementary. I'm here to speak on behalf of the children and parents of the Miners Oaks community and express my profound disappointment with the committee's vote to close Miners Oaks Elementary. There are many academic and financial reasons why this decision would be a mistake, but among the many reasons, the most significant is for equality concerns, equality of opportunity, and equality of education. The Ojai District has a non-discriminatory policy that states that the governing board is committed to equal opportunity for all individuals in education. By choosing to close Miners Oaks, the board would not be fulfilling its mission to provide a comprehensive, innovative, and stimulating educational program delivered in an equitable learning environment. How equitable would a decision be to close a site which serves the majority of the minority students from the poorest community in the Ojai Valley? Consider the data which demonstrates the demographics of the students who are served by each school site. Miners Oaks serves the largest number of students in the district who are enrolled in the free and reduced meal plan. Please consider that 64% of Miners Oaks students are currently enrolled in the free and reduced meal plan. The voice of the community spoke in support of Ojai schools when its voters approved the passage of Measure J. Now it's up to you and the board to demonstrate the leadership needed to prove that Ojai will have accessible school sites in each of our neighborhoods. I urge you to show your commitment to provide an equal opportunity for education for everyone, but especially for the poorest children of our community who need this chance, perhaps the most. The decision to close the poorest school and force the district's most economically disadvantaged and minority students to relocate schools is an affront to equality and the ideals of our country and community. It is symptomatic of our society's continued victimization of the least fortunate, and it is certain to contribute heavily to the widening achievement gap that plagues California, its schools, and our economy. The decision to close Miners Oaks or any school in our community is frankly shameful. Thank you.
Kelly Pasco. Ernestina Lopez after Kelly.
Hi, my name is Kelly Pasco. I've had 2 kids graduate from Miners Oaks Elementary, and I'm here on behalf, I'm part of the Complete Streets Committee, the Ojai Complete Streets Committee, and we have not brought this up in the committee, but my question is was traffic impact studied? Because if you look at the girls earlier who had the little chart with 49% of the student body at Miners Oaks walking or riding, that's equivalent to 200 students, correct? So if we close Miners Oaks, the only way for those 200 students that are walking or riding will be have their parents carting them around to other schools, which will be a net increase of 400 cars on the road in the Ojai Valley, which impacts the whole valley, not just the students at Miners Oaks. So we'd all feel 400 cars in this valley a day. And it's not an exaggeration, those are the facts. If you look at other schools, I'm in favor of keeping all the schools open. From all the people I know and everyone in the communities, the teachers, all the schools are amazing. But if you look at closing some of the other schools, you'd have a net impact of 0 cars on the road because some of the schools have 100% of the students driven to school. So as a kind of a valley-wide looking at not just affecting certain schools here or there, certain students, what's the impact on the whole valley? And it seems like closing Miners Oaks would have the most impact on the entire Ojai Valley. And so as a Complete Streets Committee, I'd love to bring it up to them to see if we can have a opinion or help you guys on that aspect of, so you have the correct data on those things. Because right now I'm just speaking off kind of the statistics I know. So at one point, maybe one of us will reach out and we can help you with those facts on the transportation impact of closing Miners Oaks.
Yep.
Thank you.
Ernestina Lopez, please. And then Laura Fulmer after Ernestina.
Buenas noches, o tardes, no sé. Mi nombre es Ernestina López y yo vengo apoyando la escuela de Miners Oaks. Yo tengo 15 años viviendo en Miners Oaks. Y para mí, mi corazón está bien triste, al igual que el de muchas mamás que hablamos solamente el español.
My name is Ernestina Lopez. I've been living in Miners Oaks for 15 years, and I'm here on behalf to support Miners Oaks. And like many other Miners Oaks mothers, my heart is very, very sad at this news of your decision.
Y esa tristeza yo sé que la sienten la mayoría de las mamás que están aquí, que por ese motivo aquí estamos, porque no queremos que cierren nuestra escuela. Yo en los 15 años que he estado aquí, empecé a llevar a mis niños, el más grande en carriola, con los otros niños más chicos. Tengo 3. 2 de ellos están en hora. Mi niña está ahorita en 6º grado. Y se me hace una crueldad que cierren la escuela. Porque aunque no hablo el inglés, no me es un impedimento para decir lo que yo siento y lo que yo quiero decir.
The sadness I feel, I know, is shared by all the other mothers out there at Miners Oaks. In my 15 years of living in Miners Oaks, I started walking my children to school in a stroller. I took all 4 of my kids to take my oldest child to Miners Oaks. I have some of my kids at Nordhoff. They've graduated, and I still have a student at Miners Oaks. It seems to be your decision is very cruel. It's simply cruel to close a school.
Mis hijos mayores que están en hora, yo me siento muy orgullosa de ellos. Sobre todo por todo el aprendizaje que ellos han recibido de sus maestros desde preschool y sobre todo de Miners Oaks, porque precisamente por eso es Elementary School, que es una escuela donde los niños ahí empiezan a aprender todo lo bueno.
So I'm very, very proud of my children, the ones that are at Nordhoff. They've learned so much in all of their years at school, but it really began at Miners Oaks, where they really learned about how to get along, how to behave, how to get on with others.
Y si cierran la escuela, Miners Oaks es el corazón de Miners Oaks. Sin la escuela de Miners Oaks, no es Miners Oaks.
If you close the school in Miners Oaks, you're closing the heart of Miners Oaks. If you close Miners Oaks School, it will no longer be Miners Oaks.
Y yo no puedo ver mi vida. Y yo no puedo ver mi vida que me queda por delante, que espero en Dios siga aquí en Miners Oaks. Yo no puedo ver mi vida sin Miners Oaks, porque es mi vida y es la de mis hijos y de los hijos de mis hijos.
don't want to live, I don't want to see my future without Miners Oaks School. I have every hope of having the privilege and honor of being able to live in Miners Oaks the rest of my days. I want to see Miners Oaks School continue. I want to see my children continue at Miners Oaks School. I want to see my children's children continue at Miners Oaks School. Gracias.
After Laura, we have Kaylin.
Case.
Kaylin, you'll be next.
I haven't even started yet. Marianne, be nice. So the first thing I want to say is I've attended many of the meetings that this committee has put together. Huh? I can be louder than them, trust me.
Yeah.
6th graders dealt with it. You guys are doing an incredibly difficult job, and I want to commend you and Dr. Bankser for taking this on. It has been passed down the road, as other speakers have mentioned, year after year after year, and it's not a pretty thing to deal with. And I appreciate the fact that you're putting in the time and you're trying your best to come up with some kind of a plan that's going to work best for our entire community. Thank you. At the same time, you guys are so awesome, I swear. You know, a zillion years ago, when dinosaurs roamed the earth, I was the PTA president and the office manager at Oakview Elementary School when it went through closure. They closed it down and combined it with Arnez, and it was a very, very challenging time for the Oakview community, which is small, and like your schools. We had our community, and we loved our community, and it was so hard. But I also sat on the committee that made that decision and that designed the new campus. So honestly, folks, I feel it both ways, and I totally empathize with you, and I'm really glad I'm not the one making this decision. Having said that, I am the director of Valley Oak Charter School, and I am here, as I've been at most meetings, to answer any questions that might come up. If you have a question after this meeting, you call me at the school. I will answer it. What I want you to know is that Valley Oak Charter is a very small community, 75 kids, who support families who homeschool. It's something people want to do. We're a public program that supports them. We have a property that we purchased in Miners Oaks. We can't develop it right now because of water issues and financial issues. That doesn't mean we're trying to get your schools, folks, honestly. Getting one of your schools means that my community, my teeny tiny community, has to now be in charge of all of the finances. So as much as we appreciate the fact that this committee even considers Valley Oak, and we do, we really appreciate the fact that you see us as part of this community, because we are. We're not looking to close any of you guys. That's not what we're asking for. If, in fact, a school closes and they offer us a place at that school, you bet. If we don't have another place to go, we're going to go there. Also, if all the schools stay open and you have surplus property and the district wants to make some income and they offer us a space and we don't have another space, we could be there. But we're not here to displace you. We are here just like you in a school community trying to keep our community moving forward. I commend you for being here tonight. It's a huge thing to come out at 8:30 on a Thursday night to do this stuff, and I just worship you guys for being willing to do this. There is no way I would sit on that committee. So kudos to you all, and that's it. I'm done. Bye.
Okay, Kaylin is next, and then Amy Mendoza, you're next.
Hi, I'm Kaylin, and we're 5th graders from Miners Oaks Elementary.
I'm Melandra, and I'm a 5th grader too from Miners Oaks Elementary. I'm Zamira, and I'm also a 5th grader from Miners Oaks Elementary. My name is Denise, and I am from Miners Oaks Elementary from 5th grade.
Now, this is coming from a mind of a 10-year-old, so don't expect too much. I've been going to Miners Oaks.
Right close to the mic, right up close to the mic.
I've been going to Miners Oaks for the past 5 years, and a lot of my friends have too. They've stood by me, and we love this school. We have one of the greatest teachers ever. And I hope that one day my kids will get to see these teachers and learn with them too. Now, I think none of this school should shut down because all of these schools are great schools. And they're by people who live close by. And some people really, really like their schools. And I think that they should be able to choose their schools no matter what. And I really enjoy going to Miners Oaks because all my friends are there and I get treated fairly, and I feel like that this school shouldn't shut down because there's a lot of kids who go and they are really happy there. And a lot of them even walk or ride their bike to school because they live close enough. And it's a very safe environment in Miners Oaks and Ojai. Thank you.
In Miners Oaks School, there's also a lot of great teachers, and new kids that should come, and they should expect good teachers. And if new kids come, there will be great teachers because I've known a lot of great teachers in Miners Oaks.
And Miners Oaks is one of about 2 or 3 schools that has special ed classes for certain kids. Like one of my dear friends that go to Miners Oaks who has autism. Good job.
Those girls are in my class. I did not know they were coming, but they do not have to do their homework tonight. Extra credit. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. Hi, my name is Amy Mendoza, and I have been teaching at Miners Oaks School longer than anybody. I've been on campus longer than anybody there, 27 years. I've had a lot of your children who I love. It has been said, but we say it with utmost sincerity that thank you for your work, and I strongly believe that every one of you has the best interest in everyone here, the children, the teachers alike, so I thank you for that. I really just wanted to say thank you because I asked so many people to come and speak. I have never been so proud to see the pride. I did not know the turnout that would be here. It's a small sampling, as you can imagine. A lot of people could not be here at such short notice. But quiero decir gracias a todos, especially the people who I said, please, if you speak Spanish, that's okay. I individually asked several of these people to come. So in front of you and in front of them, I think you are making a difference. We are making a difference. Just the idea that you're so proud of our school. I'm so proud of our school, our whole community. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. I hope to grow old and retire here. I do hope to retire out at Miners Oaks also, school. But thank you for your work, and Miners Oaks, the pride shows through. Again, gracias por todos. Gracias por venir aquí esta noche. You did a great job. Thank you.
Our next speaker, and perhaps our last speaker, unless anyone else fills out any more cards, is Abigail Vanderweg.
Hi, my name is Abigail Vanderweg. I'm in 8th grade, and I went to Miners Oaks from when I was in kindergarten, and I graduated in 6th grade. almost all of my teachers here. I'm proud to say that I want to be a lawyer when I grow up due to Miss Lessing's Gavel Club. When I was in kindergarten, my friend Chelsea moved here, and she couldn't speak English, and my kindergarten teacher, Miss Lapine, she helped her learn English, and now she's three of my little cousins' kindergarten teachers also, and she taught my sister, and I hope she gets to teach all of my little cousins that are going to Miners Oaks. Let's see. My mom taught art check since I was thinking kindergarten, and she helped us to get an art room. And if you close Miners Oaks, you're gonna be closing all of like my friends' memories and my memories, and all of our teachers are gonna lose their jobs. And I don't want that to happen because I love my teachers and they taught me really good and they're all really nice to me. And some of my other friends didn't like their teachers that went to different schools. Sometimes in the halls at Matilaha, I ran into kids that I went to school with, and I just feel like we're so much closer than my other friends that went to different schools, the people that they went to school with. I feel like my class is a family, and I don't want to destroy where I made a second family. Thank you.
Kevin White, come on up.
My name is Kevin White, and I am a sixth grade teacher at Miners Oaks, but I have also taught at every single school in the school district, or coached. So I have a lot of experience in our school district. And I'd like to thank you for your hard work on this committee. I know it's difficult. Could I have all of the students of Miners Oaks, current, former, all of my former students, come up here, please. Come up here. Just come on. Everybody, you could be 90. Come on up. So, no pressure. As you move forward in your considerations and your recommendations, I would also like you to consider us up here right now. These are current Miners Oaks students. They are alumni Miners Oaks students. And also, I could have called all the students from our school district up here because it's not just about Miners Oaks. It's also about our Ohio Unified School District. And I want you to consider what message are we sending to all of our community if we're talking about closing schools. I'd like to offer a paradigm shift. We should be opening schools and creating more environments where learning is happening. Thank you very much.
Are we getting
Yeah, we're good. Great.
That's all. That's all. Now we're just going to open up the discussion. So thank you all so much who spoke. Thank you all so much who spoke. And at this point, we will continue our meeting and just deliberate over with your comments and with what we've been thinking about for the last week and whatever happened for the week before. And let's see, I have comments if no one else does, at least to start us out, because I have a little bit of a different. Sorry.
Where's the mic?
Is there one right here?
The mic.
Okay. Try that one right here.
Yeah, it'd be better to have
Is it not?
Kevin give you the mic.
That reach better.
Thanks, Mr. White.
Thank you.
Okay. Does this work without the other mic?
Yeah.
If I just lean in? Okay.
It does, yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. I'll tell my fellow committee members, you know, I spent the last week trying to reconcile sort of our process and how we got to the motion to close Miners Oaks, and it doesn't sit well with me. I voted no, but I don't even think that that's important as much as the fact that, I mean, it was a 6-5 vote, and of course, I think I probably speak for others on the committee that we would like to end up at a consensus eventually that is a little bit better than 6-5. But something struck me as I was reviewing the material this week, and it's something that we really haven't talked about. And in a sense, it's a little bit outside of our purview, I will admit that. But I got to say that more than 4 years ago, there was another 7-Eleven committee, and it met over many months and was tasked with recommending disposition of this property right here, the district property. The recommendation that came out of that 7-Eleven committee was that the district sell or lease this property. And after hearing that recommendation, the board specifically agreed that leasing this property was a good and viable plan. Now, for many reasons, that hasn't happened yet. But I do believe that now is the time. Property values have rebounded, and as we heard last week at our committee meeting, there is a real need for affordable housing in Ojai. That's one idea that we kicked around last week, and that affordable housing can benefit the people who need it most. It can also benefit our teachers who are at the very bottom of the pay scale in Ventura County among all the districts, 20 school districts. Our teachers are 20th in compensation. And so at the very least, what I would like to suggest to the committee is that no kids should be moved and no schools closed without first the district dealing with this property and moving forward on the sale or lease of this property as recommended by the 7-Eleven committee 4 years ago. Now, I'll point out that in our Balfour-Beatty report, which is a report that was written in support of Measure J, that there is $2.5 million allocated on this property, including soft costs. I am, in fact, in favor of spending that money as efficiently as we can, and if we can move district operations to surplus property at other campuses, like the elementary schools, then we can reallocate that $2.5 million to our either elementary, junior high, or high school campuses. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, wait, we can't move the district offices without closing a school, and that's part of that decision from last week. But I don't actually believe that's the case. One option we have is to move the district offices to Nordhoff. Now, Nordhoff hasn't bottomed out yet in terms of population, but when it does, it will be at 50% of its historic high. When I was at Nordhoff, there was like 1,200 students there. It peaked at 1,300. It's going to bottom out at 650. District-wide, we used to be at over 4,000 students. We're at 2,600 now. So The issue of surplus property is real. So I believe there is space at Nordhoff. But even if there isn't, if it was somehow decided that there isn't space for this whole operation to move over there, then think creatively, I would ask the district, about decentralizing district office functions. Not everything that is housed here needs to stay together and move in one place. We have surplus property on pretty much every campus in Ojai. But my point is that the district should act first on that 7-11 committee recommendation of 4 years ago. And therefore, I will make this motion. I move that our committee's report to the board include the strong recommendation that prior to closing any schools, the administration move from these grounds for the purpose of leasing this property. And I'm asking for a second.
Second.
Okay, now we open for discussion on the motion.
I just want clarity. I want clarity. I want a very strong statement in there that we will not close schools first. Like, I want that to be really strong in the motion, that closing schools is the last final option.
Okay, well, the language of my motion is it includes the strong recommendation that prior to closing any schools, that happens first.
That's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, I think that's strong.
Yeah, that's
I
pretty
used the
strong.
word strong.
Prior to.
Could I ask you?
Capitalize it.
Could I ask you to amend your motion to add that they move first on leasing or otherwise developing the property on behalf of the district?
It's so amended. Yeah, I would agree with that. Or,
So should we formulate it more like this, Glenn? Okay, should we formulate it more like this, and you can shoot me down, but should we designate this as surplus space that needs to be dealt with first?
Well,
like this is the surplus space that we need to deal with. We don't worry about.
Our task is only dealing with elementary schools, but this has already been designated surplus space 4 years ago.
Okay, so we're sort of agreeing with that.
We're just saying, okay, now's the
deal with
time,
this.
and before we start inconveniencing our kids and our families, let's do. So we had this. For those of you that haven't watched the video from last week, there was an interesting discussion. Bill Wyrick, a council member, was at our meeting, and as many of you know, if you have the pulse of the city, is that the city is really struggling for affordable housing, and I'm also aware that, again, our teachers are paid, have the lowest pay scale of all the school districts in Ventura County, bottom, the last, 20th out of 20, and yet from 2013 to 2015, our housing prices, the cost of a house sold, went up over 30%. So now let me add one more, I'll just add one more piece to the mix just to remind everybody. We are approaching a crisis point with our teachers because in the next 5 years, we're going to hit this bubble. You know, there was so many years where we didn't hire new teachers because we're at a district with declining enrollment, and so there were no spaces for new teachers. Well, guess what? We're coming up to a point where a bunch of teachers are coming up for retirement, and we're going to need to attract new teachers. And Merv said at the last meeting that with Ventura School District getting a 7% pay raise, Oxnard School District getting a 7% pay raise, a teacher in Ojai, and I understand it's a choice, and you do make, you know, it is a choice to stay up here in this beautiful valley, but at the same time, the numbers keep getting wider, and the discrepancy keeps getting wider and wider. $23,000 difference between an Ojai teacher and a Ventura teacher. So we can't ignore that, because when the time comes and those teachers start retiring, we start losing those great seasoned, experienced teachers. I don't want us to be picking from the bottom of the barrel. I want us to have a choice, and part of having a choice is being competitive. So circling back around, you know, we do have a need for that, and I just think that the first step. So the motion's been amended, and I'll just repeat it again. Our committee's report to the board includes a strong recommendation that prior to closing any schools, the administration move from these grounds for the purpose of leasing or otherwise developing this property.
Second.
Okay? That our committees, and I can give this to you in writing, Marianne. Our committee's report to the board include the strong recommendation that prior to closing any schools, the administration move from these grounds for the purpose of leasing or developing this property.
Wait a second.
And it's, no, I don't think we need to. Okay, any other discussion on the motion?
Yeah. I just have an issue again with just making a motion and us voting on it without really talking about what an ideal motion is that we can all gain consensus around without looking at them. So I strongly support the idea that we exhaust all of our options for enhancing revenue before we close any schools. And then we could make a recommendation on this. That is not our purview, but we could definitely do that. I just don't want us to jump into a motion that we have an ideal motion that we could like all approve. Like, so does anybody have an idea to make Glenn's motion even better?
I think the motion is good as is. I would like to speak to what you brought up about the salary. I find it telling that 3 teachers stood up. Robyn Munson, Kevin White, hi. One of my kids' teachers, and Amy Mendoza, another one of my kids' teachers, stood up and said, you know what, we are here, it's almost like district of choice for teachers, isn't it? You know, you guys choose to be here and teach here because it's really the culture and the environment. So, you know, I know Merv did a really great job representing the teachers. He spoke more from not his own personal perspective, right, Merv? Last week you spoke from, you queried the teachers. Surveyed the teachers. But I will tell you that having the 3 of you here tonight spoke, you know, very loudly to me personally. And I would definitely, you know, second that motion, which I've already done. So
here's my problem with that motion. So you say prior to closing any schools. So my view is that none of our schools at this point should be closed. And I don't want us to draw the line from our lack of school closure, that closing a school is going to enhance salaries of our teachers, because our superintendent has said very clearly at our meeting that it will not. And then our assistant superintendent has stated the numbers that closing any one of our schools will not equal even 1% of our school district budget, not even 1%. So I don't want to tie the fact that we all want the best for our teachers be tied to the question of closing a school, because we have had a wonderful opportunity on this committee to explore a lot of great ideas for not only enhancing revenue, which is hugely important, but improving our academics, our learning environment for our kids. And I go back to where we started on this committee, and I think this is a wonderful opportunity to have everyone speak to this. We didn't want to have people come to a community meeting with fear and concern and angst about the future of their schools and their neighborhoods. We talked about having a community come together to talk about their best ideas for optimizing our school properties and for enhancing our learning environments. That's where we started.
Well, I feel like Glenn's motion speaks to that, because I think it's a cart before the horse thing, right? Isn't Glenn saying with this motion, let's look at what we can do financially first. We have this opportunity. Let's look at it first before we do. It seems like we were going the other way. We were like, let's create the opportunity. We've got the space. Maybe we can create the opportunity, and then the opportunity helps fix our teacher salaries. I think what Glenn is saying is, let's reverse that. We have the opportunity. We have this space. We have this property. Let's look at that first before we enter into this notion of damaging kids, damaging families, which I just think is what we've been saying all along. We had to turn the opposite way, though.
So I would take out of that motion prior to closing any schools, because I don't believe that any of our schools should be closed. I don't believe that
closing our schools, and now it's going hella beans for our revenue for the schools.
Are you saying instead of?
I would take that out entirely. Our committee recommends that the administration move to lease grounds for the purpose of leasing and developing this property. Without the primary closing of schools, because that's implying that you're going to close a.
I think I had a little trouble with that too. I mean, I don't think that's what you meant, but I think in order to make it sort of feel more secure, let's keep the language completely out. I get that that's not where you're going. Maybe
Well,
it is where you're going.
Maybe it is where I'm going.
So you're saying, okay.
I haven't been on the, I do not come down on the side of absolutely there's no possibility of closing campuses. As you know from last week, I was a proponent of closing a campus. And so I'm okay with that language in there as is.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Was anything done about the prior advice that the other committee did?
No.
Or it was a different result of a solution? Or was anything done absolutely with it?
Nothing was done, and as I said, for many reasons, the district hasn't acted on that. But I do think that we're at a unique place right now where the district can act on that prior 7-11 committee recommendation.
Because what will be the point for us to make an advice if nothing is done again? I mean, is the time that we all put on this, is the emotional stress for everybody and the whole community, and if nothing gets done, what's the point of giving an advice?
Well, that was one of our options all along, though, was not to close any schools. We didn't come here. That was definitely stated as one of our options. So that is an action that we will have taken if that is our choice. It won't be a waste of our time. We will have affirmed that that is our view, that is our view.
Again, I think it's a cart before the horse thing, right? I think we've done our task. We've identified that there's surplus space. Glenn is saying, if I understand you right, Glenn is saying, however, okay, we've done this task, we've identified this, but is there a way before, put the cart back of the horse, whatever, is there a way to look at it the other way and see, can we establish solutions first before we do a bunch of damage?
Exhaust all options.
Well, I think we have another thing before we're just saying, wait until the district decides what to do with this office. And that is something that we have done very effectively, and that is to identify the surplus property in our district. And I think we then say to the school board, these are the spaces that you have, and you could do such and such and such. And then the positive side of this committee is that we have explored wonderful ideas, and one of them is a resilient school magnet that also, because the reason magnets were created is to address ethnic issues, ethnic imbalances in our schools. So for instance, if a large number of Caucasian students are leaving Miners Oaks, which it looked to me like was the case in the review that Andy gave to us, Resilient Magnet School would retain more of the neighborhood children in that Miners Oaks community.
Okay, so can you guys see how hard it was for us? We can't even make a motion. We can't even make a motion.
No, we have a motion, we're just discussing it. We're just discussing.
Okay, there's a motion on the table. I just want to say I support the motion as it was amended by Chris.
Okay.
Keeping in the current wording.
I support the motion as well, as already stated.
I have concerns about the word development, because especially when you have proposals for hotels on this site, I think that development is like what, we're recommending that they sell this property and build a hotel here? That's what the wording implies.
But that's beyond our purview.
Chris,
development.
Well, what I said.
I have concerns about the word development.
Yeah.
Here's my concern. We're to have a public hearing next week, right?
Yeah, right.
Yet we've only been given this committee for this meeting, 10 minutes to discuss?
We're not,
I think we're limited.
We're not bound by time?
No.
So we'll be here this evening until we wrap it up?
Yeah. Just like
until the end of the meeting, we're not sure, but don't feel pressured to,
Yeah, because there is so much more to discuss, especially with this motion. I don't feel that we've had enough discussion to vote on. I don't think we have enough time.
Do you have a
Okay.
question regarding the motion, or?
No, I don't have a question regarding the motion, because the motion is something that's been around a long time, as far as developing this property or selling it.
And we're just reaffirming that.
Let me continue. Was it 6 years ago, 2010, city council race? I predicted 3 things. If the school district didn't do something with this property, we'd be looking at closing the school. And if the city didn't do something about the Libby Bowl management, it would be sitting empty, and we would not have a city, we'd be looking for a city manager. So to be sitting here and listening to these things actually come through after all this time, and then putting a hodgepodge together of what we should do with this property is short-sighted, because we know that it is going to have to go through a lot of discussion, not only with the school board, but with the city.
So let me clarify that what my motion is addressing, my motion isn't saying that this property gets developed, or or what happens to this property. It's simply stating that the priority number 1 should be that the 7-Eleven committee's recommendation of 4 years ago be implemented before we consider closing schools. That's all it's saying.
And we're going to maintain it just like that. That's the motion.
That's the motion.
And we've had a second.
And we've had a second, and we're discussing it now.
Again, I would say, why bring in the school closure thing? Just say, we have a motion that they look at what was proposed by the 7-Eleven committee 4 years ago and act on it.
Because first, to me, I'll tell you, I had an aha moment this week, which was, why are we talking about closing a school when we haven't even acted on the 7-Eleven report of 4 years ago? So that's what brings that language to me. It's like, I want to make sure that, to me, that's my priority. That would be a priority statement for me, and I'm making the motion and seeing, do we have a consensus on that?
Can I ask a question? What does that do to our vote, our prior vote?
It does nothing to the prior vote.
So we keep that vote?
It's
And
on
you
record.
just prioritize?
So far, we keep that vote.
Unless we
So this
re-vote
is
on
like,
that same motion.
this motion becomes like priority 1 type of thing, prior to...
In my mind, this would be like a leading statement in our report to the board.
But that still leaves...
I cannot support that.
Okay.
And I believe that our committee was formed to look at, and I'm reading the education code regarding 7-Eleven committees, is the intent of legislature to have the community involved, thank you very much, because it's key, before decisions are made about school closure or the use of surplus space, thus avoiding community conflict, we obviously have some conflict here, and assuring building use that is compatible with the community's needs and its desires, and that the governing board, prior to the sale, lease, or rental, prior to sale, lease, or rental of any excess real property, shall appoint this committee to advise the governing board in the development of the policies and procedures governing the use, disposition of school buildings or space in the school building. So I think we have a job to do. And our job is to state we do have surplus property, and that one of the things that we can do is have an RFP, request for proposals, to lease some of our excess space that would involve keeping our school but enhancing our revenue and optimizing the use of our campuses. So I don't think that your motion does anything for what our goal is here. So I would make an entirely different motion, but your motion stands as is with a second.
I'd like to address David's comments about the word development. And you're right, it can have any kind of connotations. What I was trying to distinguish was between leasing the property to a third-party tenant that may or may not be the best use of this property by the school district, or develop it for its own purposes. Now, yes, you can certainly put any kind of development you want in there, but that word itself, and I really want to pull back the emotional charge that means a five-star hotel. Okay, it means an option other than leasing the property. You develop it for the benefit of this district. That's a different concept than leasing it simply for revenue and cost cutting. So that's what I meant by that.
Development for the benefit of the district.
Yes, that was actually my amendment.
Okay.
So are we going to vote on this?
So Mary Ann,
or are we still discussing?
can we just to be clear, can we just amend those last words? That the administration move from these grounds for the purpose of leasing or developing for district benefit, for the benefit of the district, this property.
And actually, I'm sorry, I'm struggling to hear some things. Is it moved from this district? Or moved from the site? Is the motion that we're saying before we'd look at school closure, we're actually requesting that these sites be vacated, or that before we take action, as in before we try to enter into a long-term lease?
My intention is that before kids move, administration moves. That's my intention.
It does nothing for our goal, which is to stay with their surplus property so we can move ahead with some of the things that were in our other motions.
So part of the reason why I came to this thought is I am a numbers person, and I have been talking about the savings of closing a school. And this is a savings of closing a school that I've talked about in the past that hasn't come up in our meetings before. So that impressed me. $2.5 million.
So to clarify that for everybody, you're talking about the $2.5 million that is slated for the district offices in the estimates.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a point of clarity. I have a question about whether we'd have to rent to a charter school. I think we've answered that before in a previous meeting. We don't have that requirement, right?
No.
I'm asking you, I'm looking at you.
So
Yes.
the statutory requirements around giving priority leasing options to a charter school requires that charter school meet certain requirements. First requirement is that they have 80 ADA. So again, average daily attendance and enrollment typically need about 85 or 86 students to make up 80 attendance. Merv made a great point, and that's number 2, is that those students actually must be 86 in-district students. So a school that might have 150 students, if half of them are coming from outside the district, that wouldn't qualify either. So you must have at least 80 in-district ADA in a classroom-based program.
So if we vacated this property, we would not have that requirement necessarily. We could.
There's currently no charter school that would match that criteria.
Is there any more discussion on the motion?
You know, I've got a question about Mary Ann's questioning this proposal about, we all agree that we'd like to see our enrollment improve. Just spitball me a number, Mary Ann. How many more students do you think we can draw from Ventura or Santa Paula? How much do you see us growing? I mean, I agree with I like the resilient schools plan. I like looking out an outreach plan. I like writing grants. I like that. But I'm really wondering what our ceiling, what you think are realistic probability if we move district offices to spread them out over different surplus spaces in the district. How much of an impact is that going to have? Are we going to pull in another 600 students from outside the district, or?
What does that have to do with the district offices?
Because you're saying that you don't want to move the district offices to elementaries because you want to use that excess space to pull more people in? Am I misunderstanding that?
I didn't say that at all.
Okay, I'm sorry. I misunderstood.
I only said that I didn't like the part of the motion that said that the school district decide what it's going to do with this building prior to closing a school, because I don't support closing a school at this point.
So it's more about before moving children or students, moving administration, rather than space
I absolutely
filling.
support the best use of this facility.
So I was under the impression the initial motion was to make a recommendation, a strong recommendation, that prior to any school closure or decision made on school closure, the district take action on this site. To me, taking action is different than saying that all personnel must vacate the site, because I wouldn't see why we would decentralize the district office and then still ever consider a potential school closure, creating vacant space that we'd then be trying to centralize back the district office again, if that was one of the recommendations. We said we didn't necessarily, or that was something we talked about last week, was district office at Myers Oaks. Why would we try to spread the district office out, incur those construction costs and everything else and accommodating that, and then still look at creating a vacant space, which I think everyone said Last thing I want to see is just a fence go up around a school campus and see, boards on the walls.
Of course. I really believe that the district office could be housed at Nordhoff together. Now, if it can't, to decentralize that, and so you're saying you're concerned that there would be a problem if under that second scenario, the district functions were so decentralized that they would be on every campus, and then you would then close that. Then you would, if you close that campus, they would have to pull back to somewhere else. Is that your concern?
Well, no, I was hearing last week that one of the ideas that we liked about repurposing Myers Oaks was having it be, among many things, potentially a new site for the district office. To me, if we decentralize the district office, which I don't support the idea that Nordhoff could actually house the full district office, I strongly disagree with that. If we were able to have some portion at Nordhoff and then spread the remaining portions at other sites, then if there was a campus that was identified as surplus that was closed, we would no longer have all those vibrant options that we talked about of potential district office, potential Valley Oak, potential community, community groups, as well as a environmental academic center. Seems like those are all, okay, we could use one or two classrooms here and there, but those are based on the idea that we're still having a significant role of the district office being there in order to make the overall property still work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think to remove the language that Glenn has put in as the prior to making any sort of decision takes away from the motion to remove that. But what he's saying is that action needs to be taken on this before that kind of recommendation is even considered. So I think to change Glenn's language is to change the intent he has behind the motion.
And I think what he's
And I
speaking
support the
to,
intent he has.
and,
I do too.
and I think what Glenn is speaking to, and I'm so happy you found this, is it was the recommendation from 4 years ago and it was never acted upon. That, to me, is like what we need to look at first. If it was the recommendation of the previous 7-Eleven committee, then we need to re-recommend that they look at that, especially with, as you said, changes in the economy, changes in need, an increased need for lots of reasons to repurpose this facility. And frankly, $2.5 million recouped from Measure J. That's all those things put together.
I would love that person with an ideal motion that we can find consensus around. So I like the idea of what you're saying, that the school board prioritize the use of the district office. I would also like it to contain that all 5 schools remain open and that the committee has recognized that there is surplus property that the school board can determine the best way to utilize.
Yeah, I can't have.
I'd like a second motion with that material in it.
Can we do that?
As a separate motion, yes. Let's
Okay.
just, I'd like to call the question on this motion.
Okay. And then I disagree with this because I think there's a better motion.
Okay.
Well,
let's do that.
Is there?
Let's see where we are right now,
Let's do
and then continue making progress. I think the one thing we can agree on is our committee has gone through a ton of data, and all of our views have changed over. Well, not all of ours, but a lot of ours are evolving and still currently evolving. So let's just see where we're at right now, and then rather than coming up with something that a silver bullet right now, let's keep working.
Can we do a straw poll? Can we do kind of like a straw poll
Voting
of
on
our
them,
feeling?
so I don't know that a motion that's approved is the way for us to reach consensus by having a motion and approval, because then you have an approval. That's why we came to our last motion. I would like to have us discuss Glenn's motion, actually all of us look at it, and then throw some of our ideas in to make a really nice motion that we can gain consensus around.
But we're not going to gain consensus.
Why not? I think we're all,
I did
we're
call
all
the
pretty
question,
much on the
yes,
same
sir.
page. We want the school board to prioritize the future of this facility first. Okay? I personally want all 5 schools to remain open. I don't know if there's consensus around that. And I want us to state a fact, which is there is surplus property in the school district, which is our charge.
Okay, so to me, I'm not willing to amend my motion to include those last two,
Steve has called for the vote, so could you read the motion back?
I don't know what the motion is, so you could,
Okay. I thought you were recording it. I move that our committee's report to the school board include the strong recommendation that prior to closing any schools, the administration move from these grounds for the purpose of leasing or developing for district benefit this property.
I second.
And that was already seconded. So that's the motion. And we'll do a roll call. And Andy?
Aye.
David?
It's so difficult to vote on. I can't vote on that. I can't vote yes on that. So it's a no for me.
Okay. Gabby?
I'm not sure about it because are they really gonna move, or what is gonna come first? The moving of the district, and then Andy says it's not gonna happen like that, or they're not agree. I think I abstain to vote on that one.
Did you say, I'm sorry?
I abstain.
And abstain? Okay. Murph?
I vote for the motion.
Aye.
Aye.
We understand the motion.
Yeah.
Still. I think I can get behind that, yes. If it's that narrow, if it's narrow enough to say, just please
Okay.
consider this first.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
That's all it is. Linda?
Aye.
Aye.
Dimitri?
I'm not happy with the wording of it, so I'll have to say no.
no.
And do you have a tally for us?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 yeses, 3 noes, and 1 abstention.
Okay, so the motion carries. Thank you. Mary Ann or anyone else, you had some other ideas, so.
I'd like to make a motion then, that I think we've already covered in that other motion that the school district is going to prioritize something with this facility. So I would like to make a motion that the committee recommends that all 5 schools remain open and that there is a recognition that surplus space exists in school properties and that the school board invests the way to use it.
So what you really want is even though there's surplus space.
Before you ask, is there a
Sorry.
second? Is there a second?
Oh, I wanted clarity on what she was saying first.
As soon as she
though.
seconds, as soon as we get a second, we can talk about it.
I'll second that.
Okay,
Sorry.
David seconded, now go.
Okay, sorry. I think what you want to say is the reverse, don't you? We recognize there's surplus space, but let's not close schools. Let's address the surplus space in other ways. Isn't that what you're trying to say? I think you're trying to say, okay, we recognize there's surplus space, but the answer is don't close a school. Let's try to deal with the surplus space that's there in creative ways.
Our other motions that we made the other day for Miners Oaks states, let me get this right, that Miners Oaks could use its surplus property for housing the district office, continued access for nonprofits, have Chaparral go there, move Valley Oak Charter, and have an environmental education center.
Well, I guess my point is
So
that.
that's surplus.
Well, right,
So
so-
I'm saying have kids there in a magnet
Yeah.
or whatever.
So recognize there's surplus space, but we don't need to close a school to utilize that surplus space, right? Isn't that what we're saying?
Your motion? Yes.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
I don't
Okay.
understand the motion now.
You say it again?
That all 5 schools remain open, and that the school, that the committee is recognizing that there is surplus space that the school board can determine how best to utilize.
Second.
David, second.
That's on me.
So isn't this idea of so are you, to designate surplus space and then just leave it at that, so we're, in a sense, aren't we just hunting to the school board?
No, that's our job. That's our job,
Okay.
just to name
Just
surplus
that.
space. So I think what she,
Okay.
yeah, that's why I'm saying, I think she can say either way, like you just, okay, we did our job. We recognize the district has surplus space in various different facilities.
Our decision is
She's saying, let's not answer it by closing a school. Let's not answer it by that. Let's answer it by looking at ways to fill the surplus space. That's what she's saying, which I think goes kind of right along with what you're saying, honestly. I mean, I think there's a kind of hand-in-hand there, situation there.
We had two motions last week dealing with Miners Oaks. The first motion was to stop using it as an elementary school, stop using the facility as an elementary school.
Remove the student
And
population from the
remove the elementary school student population from that facility. The second separate motion was all about moving district offices and food for thought and nonprofits and all that wonderful stuff. Okay. So this motion would appear to negate the first of those two motions, which we have not formally done as a board, or excuse me, as a committee, and it says nothing to the second motion. But if we move the district offices and a whole bunch of nonprofits and expand food for thought and have an environmental center, are we going to have room at Miners Oaks for any students anymore?
I want to clarify. I think what we're doing, aren't we, is we're dialing back a little bit our purview. We're saying it really wasn't our purview to close the school. That really wasn't our job. Our job, let's dial it back. Our job is to recognize surplus space, identify it.
Where did we do that?
Well, I think
according to Mary Ann, our response to the school board is, yes, you formed this committee because the school board felt that there was probably surplus property in the district, and then they are required by law to form a committee to make recommendations as to how to deal with that. And if the recommendation is, hey, you're right, there's surplus property, and we stop, then we have not done our job.
Well,
I have a comment to make on that. That I really feel like this committee has been framed as a school closure committee. And I think that it's important for us to say, yes, there's surplus property, don't deal with that by closing a school.
Yeah, that's not our job to decide, to be honest.
And it is our job to recommend what to do about surplus property.
So there are other options other than closing a school.
Fine, and then let's have some motions about those other ways of dealing with surplus property.
We've done that, though. It says develop a priority list. Glenn has just made a motion. This is our priority. Our priority is examine this property first.
Basically,
We've identified
do what the previous 7-Eleven committee recommended.
Yeah, well, what I would say is to me, that is a top priority, but it is not the priority list.
Well, okay, right, it's not, but I'm saying that, I was just trying to say
mind.
that we are doing what we're tasked to do. We are identifying surplus property.
We did not.
Well, we did, we said there, I think people are accepting their surplus property at Miners Oaks, at Miramonte. There's a certain acceptance of.
I haven't heard any acceptance of that.
We talked about it in our capacity study. It was right there in front of us.
Not to put words in your mouth, Steve, but I think Steve might be asking for more specific data and emotion that specifically
the
states
surplus property.
Speak to the surplus property, so that would be a deficit.
The capacity study was not done by this committee, it was given to this committee. If we simply say, yep, that's right, there's excess capacity, then a year from now or 2 years from now, the school district is going to be forming another 7-Eleven committee with the charge of dealing with surplus property because we will not have done that.
Well, the committee had some wonderful views from David on our resilient schools.
Well, then let's have some narrowly defined motions along that line that maybe we can all get behind. But until we have that, we have not recommended anything to the school board that wasn't already recommended by another 7-Eleven committee.
So that I see that the second motion that we passed last week had some relevance to what you're saying, Steve.
Absolutely, but it was based on the first motion.
And it was specific to Miners Oaks.
Yeah.
So it would seem like a motion that had, I know we've got a motion on the table right now, right? But it,
We do.
we
don't.
We do. We have Mary Ann's motion, which we're discussing.
But it would seem like a motion that expanded the second one we passed last week, which would say use surplus property throughout the district for items like housing, adult education, community groups, charter schools, whatever, you know, this is the kind of thing that you're looking for, yes?
I'm saying, if we are going to make recommendations as to what we'll do with surplus property, the first thing we have to do is identify the surplus property and then see if we can reach a consensus on what to do with it. We have not done the first part yet, other than to say, yep, that study that you gave us is right, there is surplus
So
property.
are you saying that these aren't right, that these capacity studies, you know, when I talked in my talk about, you know,
Not at
certain
all.
schools being down by certain, that's.
I'm not saying that at all.
Oh,
I'm
so
saying
what
that
can
we
we
have not
accept?
dealt with that topic yet as a committee.
But do you-
We've looked at the report, period.
Are you saying we should amend Mary Ann's motion? I can't even think. Motion because we haven't identified, there's this amount of surplus property at this, there's this amount of, is that what you're saying? You want it more specific?
Well, and Mary Ann's motion contravenes a motion that the committee passed last week. If we do that, I would recommend that we start with last week's motion and see if there's still a 6-5 vote. And then deal with the rest of the topics in her motion.
You mean voting on school closure right now? Again, re-voting?
We do a revote.
Can we
do.
technically legally do that? Do we, I mean, because we've got the,
We can.
we can do whatever we want, okay.
Marianne, but we do have a motion on the floor. Marianne, would you read your motion back?
So all 5 schools remain open and the committee recognizes there are surplus space that the school board can determine the best way to utilize.
And that was seconded by me. Okay. Is there any more discussion on this motion? Otherwise, I'd like to call for a vote on this motion.
I want to say earlier before many people left, but I really do appreciate everyone's comments tonight. I really am feeling torn in many different directions, and I hope our press over there didn't see me crying when the 6th grade girl spoke from the gang. That was awesome. So my heart definitely is very torn. But I did really think through and weigh a lot of the priorities that we discussed, or that led me to my initial recommendation last week. And I don't feel that there's been enough new information or new discussion that's caused me to move to a different stance of where I would now support all.
Get around to identifying.
Well, there is surplus property in Grimsby, and there is a minor zone, so we could say and put a charter in there.
Well, so that sounds to me like something like that
That's a
would come
different motion.
first. That would come first before we close off the option of looking at school closure.
Not for me.
Okay.
Great.
Is there other discussion on the
Call
motion?
the question.
Okay, the motion's pretty straightforward.
Retain all 5 schools.
Recommend the school district remain true.
Retain all 5.
Okay. We'll take a vote. Again, let's start with Andy.
No.
Aye.
Gabby?
No, because I'm not sure.
Okay.
No.
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 Aye. Jane.
No.
Aye. Yes.
It sounds like 3 yeses and an abstention.
So fast I didn't work out. So the motion is not carried. The motion is defeated.
Absolutely.
What was the count?
Still trying to get, Gabby said no, Murph said no, Steve said no.
Glenn said no.
I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No. 1 abstention. And 2, 3 yeses.
Must be
That's-
more
I
than
think
3
it's-
yeses, because Dave said yes. So 1, 2, 3, 4 yeses.
Okay.
I've got David, yes. I've got Melanie, yes. I've got Dimitri, yes, and Mary, yes, so 4 yeses.
Okay,
Thank you.
6-4-1.
Yep.
Fails.
Okay, it's starting to feel a little bit like we could be here all night. It's 10 o'clock.
I'd just like to make a quick statement.
Okay.
It's with obviously we take this this appointment or this recommendation quite seriously. In an ideal world, we would never have to have this committee going. In an ideal world would be a growing district, a district with sounds really good in a financial state. I'm not, for the record, I feel that the students today are being served very well by what we are doing. I would ask us all to look down the road 3, 4, 5, 6 years, 10 years, and tell us if we do not make an action now, if we do not take action or make a recommendation now, where does that leave our school district? And that's where my heart is. That's where I'm keeping my eye on is the long-term implications of inaction of this committee.
Task list is not to close any schools until the school board decides to property.
And that is an action.
So I would like to suggest that we adjourn shortly, and I think the next point of discussion, of course, what's going to happen at the next meeting, especially for those of you that are in the audience, public hearing next Thursday, much like tonight, same place, same time, same mic, and we will hear comments, and then we'll pick up again with our discussion. It feels to me like if we were going to continue talking tonight, that maybe it's doing a better job of identifying surplus property as the next step.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And solutions.
Yeah.
Well, so
And
Glenn,
then-
I would like to see a board with all of our ideas and to pick and choose for a one that we can all sort of coalesce around and have some kind of concurrence of the committee, which I think we're close to.
Okay.
My concern is going to a hearing next week. I would like us to have another discussion, just us.
Well,
This seemed like a hearing tonight.
Yeah, but the public hearing, which is a legally required notice.
It's already scheduled.
It's scheduled, and it has to happen, yeah. So it absolutely, and then we'll pick up, and maybe we have the same, more people, less, who knows, and we'll, I'm willing to go to 10 o'clock. It feels like 10 o'clock we should stop.
Okay.
It is 10.
Perfect. Okay? So thank you all for your work. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.